Liz Cheney is leaning into this GOP civil war. She went on Fox News to discuss it. Let's see what she had to say.
Just the week before last, your House Republican leader, Kevin McCarthy, met with Mr. Trump at Mar-a-Lago and said the former president will campaign for Republicans in the 2022 elections. So the question is this still the party of Donald Trump, and does Marjorie Taylor Greene still hold a solid place in that party?
Chris, we're the party of Abraham Lincoln. We're the party of Ronald Reagan. We have to really take a hard look at who we are and what we stand for, what we believe in. I think when you look at both his actions leading up to what happened on January 6th, the fact that he was impeached in a bipartisan fashion, the fact that he lost the presidency, the fact that we lost the Senate, we have to be in a position where we can say we stand for principles, we stand for ideals. Somebody who has provoked an attack on the United States Capitol to prevent the counting of electoral votes, which resulted in 5 people dying, who refused to stand up immediately when he was asked and stop the violence. That is a person who does not have a role as the leader of our party going forward. We have to make sure that we are able to convey to the American voters we are the party of responsibility, we are the party of truth, that we actually can be trusted to handle the challenges this nation faces, like COVID. And that's going to require us to focus on substance and policy and issues going forward. But we should not be embracing the former president.
This is truly fascinating to me because, by the way, this did not get a positive reaction at all in conservative circles. You know, you go look at this video on Fox News and it's, if I remember correctly, over 50% dislikes. So in other words, the people who are still Fox News fans and watching Fox News, they're more pro-Trump than they are pro-establishment GOP. And so it's no longer a thing like, oh, the Republican Civil War happening in the future. No, it is happening right now. It's happening right now. And you have the more establishment types, the George W. Bush types, they are ready to get past Trump. They think he's dragging the party down. The Romney types as well. But, the people, the base of the party, they're not going with the Liz Cheneys. They're going with Trump. For sure. Even though she accurately points out, hey, we lost the presidency. We lost the Senate. So you got to take responsibility for that. You're a loser. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And he will cling to relevance as much as possible. You know, there's still a very good chance he runs in 2024. We'll see. But if it's not him, we'll get to a story later. The polls show it is somebody from that Trump wing who is polling the best. So let's go through some of what she says here. She says we're the party of Lincoln and Reagan. See, but that's the thing, right? Like, the only difference between Donald Trump and the establishment Republicans, it's the culture stuff. It's the culture war stuff. You know what I mean? Like, he is for all the same policies that they're for, except he has no filter, and he's a culture warrior. And he's an asshole. That's the only difference. You know, in terms of policy, they're the same. So when Liz Cheney says we're the party of Reagan, correct, you're the party of Reagan. And Donald Trump is the party of Reagan. Donald Trump did stuff that Reagan does. Again, the only difference is he doesn't have the bullshit civility and decorum that they like. He doesn't have, like, the fake, I'm a serious person thing going on. You know? And it's like, okay, George W. Bush and Dick Cheney had the I'm a serious person fake thing going on, but they're also torturers and war criminals. Your dad, Liz, is a war criminal, which gets to the next point, which is, she says, we are the party of responsibility. We are the party of truth. That is so supremely ironic when her dad was part of the campaign to lie us into an illegal and offensive war. They also lied about torture. They lied about everything under the sun. Party of responsibility and the party of truth. Is it responsible to wage an illegal and offensive war that leads to the deaths of at least hundreds of thousands? Is that responsible? Destroying the Middle East, was that responsible? Extrajudicial torture, is that responsible? We're the party of responsibility and the party of truth. The thing is, they're so smug and insufferable. And you know who else sees that? It's not just the entire left. It's the Trump wing of the party. The voters do think Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney and George W. Bush are smug and insufferable. They look at them and they say, there's a big club and you're in it. I'm not in it. And they don't even think Trump's in it, even though Trump's in it in terms of how he acts. policy-wise. So it's just, I find it so ironic that you have Liz Cheney saying we stand for principles and ideals and we care about substance and policy and issues. And it's like, that is why ultimately you're making no sense now. Because if it really was only about substance and policy and issues, then you and Trump are almost identical. Very minor differences here and there. But you're over 90% in agreement on substance and policy and issues. The only area where she's correct is this idea that there's a line that was crossed by Trump, which makes it so that the elites want to get past him as soon as possible. And that line that was passed by Trump was the questioning of the election, but more importantly, the cheerleading and prodding on of like an attempted insurrection, the diet coup, where a lot of the people who were in Congress and in the Senate felt like their lives were in danger. Even Republicans. There's some Republicans who felt like their lives were in danger. See, at that point, Trumpism was no longer an abstraction to them. It was a reality. And they realized this guy's basically a cult leader and he's got the unhinged followers. And so that moment led to a light bulb moment for a lot of them, including Liz Cheney, where she turned on him. But there is going to be a Republican civil war. It's happening right now because Trump is gone, but Trump still gets the support of many elected officials and virtually the entire base. But Liz Cheney, they also had a vote as to whether or not to remove her from her leadership position for how she stood up to Trump, and she maintained her leadership position. So most of the elected Republicans sided with Liz Cheney, keeping her position. So, telling you, man, Republican civil war, I don't know if it's 50-50, I don't know if it's 60-40, 70-30, but there is a Republican civil war. And as I always say, yummy in my tummy, I'm going to watch this with a smile on my face.